in the monthly candle. It is not looking great to end out the month. We've got about an hour and 18 minutes left in this monthly candle. And honestly, it looks pretty bad here to end this month. We talked about the last couple of days how we think a better buying opportunity is going to happen in the micro. Even though the macro looks pretty darn good, the daily looked like it was fading a little bit. Even though it looked like a nice back test was in order, it just looked like in the shorter time frames it was starting to fade. And now it looks like we have a very strong possibility of invalidating these momentous pushes. And as we talked about for IOTA, the next target, I think I didn't want anybody buying over here. I think the next target to think about is around that 17, 16.95 area. I think when you go across the market, Ethereum, it seems to speak to the fact we're going to break out sometime in Q1 2026 for the true move with Ethereum. So I think we're early. I don't expect many people to be in this live. This is the third one I've done, and it didn't even share it to me, so it's not really being pushed around all that great. The titling of me saying I think their XRP odds increase to fall below $3 and Ethereum true rally Q1 2026 is probably not going to do me any favors either with some that are new. They're probably not going to click on it. They're going to say, I'm not watching that crap. So we're going to do the best we can here, and I think we'll be able to talk a little more personally this evening, and I haven't been able to do that for a while. So honestly, it might be a blessing in disguise. So we'll have a more intimate conversation here this evening. And I think it'll actually be pretty nice. I think it'll be pretty nice. We haven't been able to do this in a while. So good evening, Mark Caston. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Alec Tony, good evening, and thanks so much for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XRP Meteor. John Bugathorpe Mosey here. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. Good evening to you both. McMichael, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. Let's see. Tawabunga, welcome in. Crypto Cooter, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for 6+ months with the XP Predictor. So what we're seeing is, unfortunately, the reversal here at Ethereum. I think it's early. I think it broke out early. I think the proper time for it to break out would have been in 2026. It could break out earlier, but I still think it could be early. We could hold 3,558 area, and then it could help us springboard into a better area. But it does feel like we're slightly early, especially in the alt tokens. Even though the daily death cross we've seen, it feels like there's just not enough buying pressure as of right now, and it's going to fall through here. And we're just going to have to accept it, which would mean for like algo, it might come back down to 19.5 cent area. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's something that was developed. And now it looks like it's building that, maybe on a test here on the back test of a breakout. IOTA could be dwindling down to that 17 cent area. XRP, if we lose that $2.98 to $3, which it hasn't done yet, so there's still some hope here that it doesn't have to go farther down, but that is a reversal right now in the daily. And seeing that we've only got an hour and 14 minutes, it could lead to quite the stampede down here for the next day. Not just for XRP, but if these in fact are bear flags forming and it's a right arm on these topping reversals, I mean, you got to come down some. XRP would be targeting around $2.50, you know, so, and it looks like unless we get some kind of straight volume here, we look like we're probably tending down that road. Either yesterday, a couple of days ago, I talked about it in the Telegram in here that there was, out of 100 scenarios, if you did a simulation, 70 of them don't end well in the micro. And I've been telling everybody who asked me that I wouldn't buy here, and I said that the last couple of days. Now it's down more than 15%, which is what I put in the Telegram and on here. But we can't live in the past because some of you didn't see that. But now, like, I wouldn't buy it here. There's too much uncertainty. If anything, I would be more willing to have you liquidate your portfolio than buy something here. How's that sound? You know, that's where I'm at right now. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. And I am not a financial advisor. So you've got to make an educated decision on your own. But with what I'm seeing here in the micro, there's simply no reason to buy it right now. If you haven't bought something and haven't been sitting in it, and even if you have and you're on serious profit, this might be a great time to take some profit because this is a right arm that looks like it's about to drop down. So we'll see if we get some volume to break in. But my personal advice to you would be don't buy here, or I wouldn't buy here. I would just wait, and then if it can overtake this, proves that we can stay here and not fall through, because the bottom line is here, if this falls through And this is actually like a flag here, a bearish one at that. I mean, you start looking at this, and the potential is right there at that 250 zone. It's pretty scary how dead on it is. So just be aware of what could be setting up here. I'd much rather you be liquid here and watch from the sidelines than make a terrible entry here. Even though the daily doesn't look bad, it's just a micro setup. I still like the macro, but that's a 17% drop. So, you know, and I'm not going to keep saying I'm in, I'm out, I'm in, I'm out, I own this, I don't own that. All you need to know is I will have my portfolio set exactly the way I want it at the exact time I want. And sometimes I just like to look at this and be from a standpoint of, hey, it's a little bit better to be liquid than not for the audience if you don't understand what's going on. Because if this does play through in this way, it's going to be a lot of problems. I know in the Telegram yesterday, it was either yesterday or the day before, and I do have my own little pager spot here so I can actually talk. But I said, let's see. The first thing I put, that was July 30th. So that was, yeah, yesterday. I said, I'm sorry, everyone, but I have to say this. I'm not asking for everyone's thoughts, just telling you straight up. Don't be surprised if your portfolios are 15% lighter in days to come. I think we're already there, and most of them are 15% lighter. Not saying it will 100% of the time, but in 70 out of 100 simulations, this doesn't end well short term. Does that mean sell it all? It may not. Could mean have some dry powder ready just in case, and have a plan in case it does go the opposite way than you expect. Was struggling how to say this, but then we get into that. We get into the community. And then this is how I decided to do it. An analysis of the cryptocurrency market reveals a potential bullish turn largely influenced. We talked about the bullish macro views here, and then what was happening in the daily time frame. But after the same day, I updated it and said with XDC, because that is the macro view, so you have to be aware of it. But then we talked about the XDC below 0.97 if it stayed below. But we talked about with everything else, I didn't believe rate cuts would happen until September. Macro is good, but micro will likely bring better opportunities across the board. And this is what you'll get in the Telegram. It's so point blank and simple. And then I said focus on Ethereum, 3,710. If it holds, and then I said the projection about Q1. And then this morning, I said today in the 4-hour time frame continues to emulate micro bearish setup. And that was at 9:12 this morning before these drops. More pain to felt while buy zone becomes more appealing every layer down. Use caution while micro movements consolidate down and finish. Macro looks fantastic, but Ethereum once again may not peak until Q1 2026 for alt season. Be wise, be aware, and be smart during this next month and a half or so. And then I put down what was happening in the afternoon, and it just kind of confirmed this morning's views. And then also talked about the 1 billion of Ripple being released today. So this is where we're at. Really at these. We're at a break point right now. It's either we're going to continue to go down here in this whole shoulder line, which is what I'm leaning towards big time, or we can get some kind of positive momentum, but right now it doesn't seem like that. It seems like quite the opposite. This is almost some kind of weird wedge that's forming here, and I'm not exactly sure how to approach this. But, you know, it's not exactly what I like to see in these kind of setups. This looks a little bearish here in the micro. It really does. I mean, it's not just XRP, though. XRP is a victim of circumstance by the market in the micro. And right now we're below that 3,712, and that is going to open up a drop if this continues down to 3,558. And I don't think there's a single altcoin that can survive that little drop at least. There's one exception right now to the rule, and that remains to be XDC, but can XDC continue to outperform the market here? Or are we just moments away from it catching up to the market? I mean, I don't know yet. It keeps getting rejected by the pattern resistance, and that's not good if that happens, because then it's going to rotate back down. But right now it's still technically set up in a flag, but it's also set up in a weird resistance area, because this could also, as much as that's a flag, you could say double top, you could say pattern resistance here that it hasn't been able to get over if you look at it more macro. So we'll see. We'll see how this plays out, but at least right now it's the anomaly. And what we look at, it's got a chance here. Sometimes money finds yield somewhere else while everything else is dropping, but we'll see. Because XRP, as long as it holds that 298 at minimum, we're okay still that we don't have to fall through. But right now it's giving me the vibes like it's not just about XRP, it's about the rest of the market. Ethereum's early. We need to go down for a stronger base. And I suggest you have a lot of money on the side. Look at IOTA down 5% to 18.95. I'm going to clean up eventually here. Oh my God, I can't wait. I just know patience is a virtue right now, and trading's not the idea. So you're not trying to get in and out, but you can do one or the other. And you can, if you can read the market, you know when to step to the side and just kind of sit back, smoke your cigar. 6:53 p.m. Eastern Standard. 31st. My God, the last day of July already. This is S 2025. I'm XRP future in the great state of. It's a very manipulated market. That's why I got to stay ahead. Even though the dailies look great, the micro looks like horseshit. It does, you know, and there's gaps left all over the place in the short term. There's a lag. Interesting. Let me see what it looks like on my end. Hold on. Let me see. Lag. Interesting. Let me see what it looks like. I don't know. It sounds kind of good in mine. Lag. Interesting. Well, of course it's going to lag now because it's mine. Sounds kind of good in mine. I don't know. Mine came through pretty quick. But right now, here's the good thing about this. Ethereum keeps coming back down here, right? You know what? Oh, so it is lagging. Everybody's lagging. Huh. No, it looks like it's more than just you, my friend. I don't know. We might have a short live this evening. I don't know. I'll try. This doesn't get... This is... Sometimes it shuts my live off and I won't be able to connect. We'll see what happens. I don't know what it did. Did it even restart the stream or what? Did it even restart? I think it worked. Can you guys hear me? I can hear myself. I'm watching my stream. It's working on my side. You see me now. Oh, good. That's about a 50-50 chance that it doesn't boot me when I do that. So I'm glad that it worked this time. Excellent. Isn't that good, Julie? It didn't boot me. But we're kind of at that weird point because XRP's holding $3. But look how some of these other ones continue to drop day by day. Even though Ethereum's still at this make it or break it zone before that $200 drop or so. A lot of the other altcoins, they're just giving it all back big time. I mean, look at some of this. It's hideous. This is bad right now. We're giving back this entire daily golden cross. This is what we've been fearing a little bit here. More than a little bit. That the micro is going to play out and we're just early. And it makes sense because for Dent, it could come down to 6,000,644 and complete that inverse right shoulder. It could even come down here and back test the area at 0,00581. It's not unusual. Bands down to 65 cents, but you can see the same similarities. It could simply come back here and back test this at 60.59. You know, so... And we can keep coming or we might go farther down. Even VeChain is imploding. It imploded. But it could just be coming down here. You know, so that doesn't mean it's dead. But if we play this target, you know, it's probably going to bring it down and retest this area if it does come down. Resistance, so buy support, sell resistance. Buy support, unless it breaks, you know, then you sell. And then you sell resistance unless it breaks through and you hold. You know, that's how it works. And right now, it gets rejected big time, and now it seems to be imploding. I think a lot of it, too, people were thinking that there was going to be a rate cut, which we didn't think there was going to be. So that's why we've been, like, one eye open kind of thing, this rotation. But, I mean, what's our golden ticket right now that's going to make this market surge? That's what we're trying to ask ourselves. What is that ticket? Not so sure right now. If anything, it makes me a little fearful that this is kind of like a Bart Simpson top ready to just roll down like this. And then as it drags off, we're like, ooh, we had kind of the symptoms, but we didn't want to see it. You know, that's what I'm afraid of. The other reason I'm afraid of that potentially is because my target for this bull cycle for Bitcoin was 122,000. So, and I know it can go to 143 if this pattern holds, but what if it doesn't? My target's already been hit for this bull cycle for Bitcoin. Yep, gold and silver is absolutely pulling back too. But that's expected. Those don't go straight up. I know this isn't going around good and it's kicked some of you off, but the ones you stayed, I appreciate it. I don't like to reset it like that, but for the sake of quality, sometimes you have to. But I know it's not always the easiest thing to hear when there could be potential reversals, but I think we want to know just in case it happens. At least I do. I want to know. So at least I know to look for this if it does rotate down. Now, if it holds the back test here and just stays above 116, or at least when it comes down here holds 114, it's still fine. I'm just saying if we get an overzealous, pull back. Oh, it's all an illusion. And my opinion hasn't changed for weeks and weeks and months. I'm just waiting for this to get into the proper spot to where we can say we're in alt season. So they just updated Coinbase, so you have to be advanced to be able to search. Oh, interesting. We're just stuck right now. Oh no, I understand. I was just saying my own sentiment. I wish we could say we're in alt season right now, but we haven't got that confirmation yet. But yeah, I know the narrative's starting to switch bearish. But for the wrong reason, though. They're looking at it as a macro bearish. I don't think we're at that point at all. But I do think we could possibly be topping with Bitcoin a little bit here. It's going to be very interesting to see. But we need Bitcoin to top at some point to roll some money into the altcoins. We really do. And Bitcoin dominance way too high still. It's amazing that it can still be this high. But right now, we could have this bear flag that finally... And I know initially people are like, oh, well, doesn't that mean alts will go up initially? Not necessarily. Just because Bitcoin dominance is going down, that could just be a sign that money's leaving Bitcoin and not flowing anywhere else, and it's being taken for profit. Typically, there's usually about a 70% retracement, I thought before. Oh, there's huge, huge retracements. But remember, though, we've already had, and if you want to just go by XRP, we're not starting from, well... XRP kind of is the anomaly here because it's only down for XRP right now. That's why I said XRP could have the case where even when other things start moving after these corrections, it's not going to move as much. But XRP 16%. But look at it for something from the perspective of IOTA. I would argue that, some of these have already made, if you go back to December, even right here, the correction's 70%. IOTA had already made a 77% correction. That's why I don't know if it's completely going to implode or if this is actually a big W that's forming. That's why I'm not willing to give up 100% hope. But I do know if it comes down, that next area would be 1695, and that doesn't mean it's bearish at all. This could just be the continuation of a newfound trend. So it's interesting what's happening here, and it's not just IOTA. This is happening across the board. There's so many cryptocurrencies with this same setup. So, when do we know we're in alt season? Money pours out of Bitcoin, and then you see Ethereum break out of this, literally start breaking out of this formation and start pouring money into it. You need to see Ethereum not be falling and lose this back test and break out of this formation. If you see us over like 4,100 with some real steam, you're in alt season. We're back testing alt season potential right now. The problem is I think Ethereum could be early here. It likely is from a technical standpoint. And it might have to do a series of consolidation here. And look how much it's come up from here. Ethereum in a very short amount of time is up 175%. So, yeah, the DXY is going to die. So it's fine that it's up. They do this all the time. The government's afraid, so they have to make bonds look better. This is normal right before they drop rates. It's a better yield. But right now it's coming up to back test the resistance area. So first area is going to be, does it get stomped down here at like 100.3 or does it come up here to 101.28? But this looks horrible where it's at right now. This looks like a back test. But they can be very steady back tests, like steep back to the top side. But the dollar sucks. Oh, the DXY is. So if Ethereum is postponed until 26th and all. Nobody's postponing Ethereum to anything. We don't know. I'm just saying from a technical standpoint, it should break out the first quarter of 26. It just broke out early right now from a technical standpoint. But it could very well continue. But yeah, alt season will be postponed until Ethereum makes up its mind, bottom line. And today's daily doesn't look great, you know. But it doesn't look like the worst thing in the world either. But yeah, until Ethereum makes up its mind, you can't have an alt season. Ethereum's the gatekeeper. I say this all the time. Ethereum is the gatekeeper of alt season. Until it makes up its mind, there's nothing we can really do. And right now we're backtesting something very significant. So I don't know how far it needs to backtest, but there's a very real chance, you know, that we may not have to also wait until then. It's that micro movement that is so important here. In the micro, does this fade out and lead us in a several month journey down and correcting until it's ready to go out? Because there's a case to be made that it could work itself all the way back down into these areas or even further. You know, we haven't really back tested any of this move at all. So Ethereum could, in theory, come way down. Like, way down. Like, we could find ourselves all the way back down here if we're not lucky. Because it went up almost 200% without any real back test. Yeah, Bitcoin's at 116,100. We're basically on that breaking point for Ethereum and Bitcoin. They got to make a decision here. How many times can they keep coming down here and then fight their way back? It's like the rest of the alts. It's either we're going to get an extraordinary boost of volume here to push us, or it's going to fall through. And I just want everybody to be aware of all of it. I'm actually rooting for it to just go up from here. Not because I don't think it'd be more beneficial to go down. I just think it would cause more people to make money here because they're already in. So I have to look for the greater good. But it's going to bounce hard as fuck. Oh, when it bounces, it is going to bounce hard as fuck. So we're in a fight between the macro and micro. That's why I keep saying, like, I know Tom doesn't cover premium and discount arrays, but the majors are already at the 25 or 50% levels. They sure are. Been waiting 2 weeks for my Ethereum to unstake. Everything will fall before I get it back. That's one of the untold problems with staking. Oftentimes the staking period is when they know there's going to be good volatility, and it's kind of ironic how it works out that right when you unstake it, everything conveniently goes down the week before. After a 6-month rally, then you unstake it, and yeah. Let's see. Syrian, welcome in, and thanks for being a very trusted mod. And also in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. I love it. But yeah, it did drop down here to about 116. Bitcoin's on the bottom end of 3,700 right now, but still trying to hang on. Down 2.45% or $93 on the day. Nothing to jump off the ship for, but it's definitely, you know, starting to cascade down just a little bit. And yeah, we are on the 25 to 50% retracement from yesterday. And it's ironic because we pushed up and had the same retracement from the bullish push from the day before and just pulled right back down. So we got to be careful here. The market's got to be careful. It's much easier for people to hit that sell button than it is for them to hit the buy button. And the trading bots, I don't know what their objective is. We're going into the weekend. We've got Ripple dumping 1 billion tokens of XRP tomorrow in a few short hours. You know, we're at the end of a monthly candle. Hey, thank you so much, It's All an Illusion, for not only being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor, but being the first donation of the evening. $5 donation, very, very generous. Said, show Tom some love. Even if we reverse here, he called for this pump in the market way before it was cool to do so. Oh, yeah, yeah. But that's not the pump, you know, that's not the ultimate pump. It was just, we had a good positioning a couple weeks ago, and we were able to ride it out until we hit that resistance tug. This could be that tug that we were afraid of. Especially if we can't get over this area. But still, you know, keep an eye on XDC. It's still, it begins to be the outlier right now. It's still hanging on pretty strong unless this breaks down. Nice little flag here. It still looks like it's got opportunity. So we'll see.
No, not right now.
What's he trying to do? Isn't he about to get milk?
Almost not. He just.
Might just need to start it early. Did he go back to his room?
He might get mad.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, XDC right now doesn't look horrible. Shoot, you made your copy traders bank. Oh yeah, I know. That was a good, yeah, but there were so many problems. I think I ended up like $3,000 something in the copy trading, but there were so many problems. All I could think was, what happens if we drop 30 or 40% instead of making the money? What happens if we're losing that amount of money? People were losing their shit when we were making money. So there had to be a different way.
I'm gonna take him out because this is gonna be his last time for the night.
Okay. That's fine. But yeah, that was fun. But we'll bring it back in a way. Man, I haven't looked at SNX in a long time. Wow, is it going way down? Incredible. I remember watching this years ago, and it was way a couple dollars. That's incredible. And like, this is what I'm afraid of. Look how this setup actually rotated and broke down. This could be out ahead of the market. Like, it seems like the market had a chance, but some of these are already showing signs of breaking down. It's incredible that they could be this much on sale and it's just not ready. Crypto Knight says, by the way, I love your stream, mate. Or man, I really appreciate that. Crypto Knight, he said, hey Tom, greetings from Malaysia. Could you check SNX real quick? Synthetics. Yeah, I knew what this one was from years ago. Man, this is incredible. I haven't looked at it in a long time. It's incredible how far some of these are falling. Like that, is it possible that we're still overvalued in this setting? It's crazy. And there's a lot of them that are in a similar trend where, and this hasn't technically broken down, so I don't think it has, but it's close. It would be very interesting if these fell out here at this point. It really would. This would be so fascinating if these actually fell out from here. I think it's amazing that they could be down this much and still be showing bearish tendencies. Isn't it incredible? Man, it's forming some kind of big bearish descending, I guess, triangle or something. Man, oh man. No, I haven't looked at NMR lately. The ones that I was buying and it was sitting on crypto.com, I just cut bait with a long time ago because I was sick of all the fees and stuff, and that's where I had that one. So I stopped looking. I don't remember if it was on BITUNIX, but I didn't have it there. I think it might be now. But some of those fees rubbed me the wrong way, so I just kind of cut bait with everything that was there. I don't even know how this would even break down that far. If this actually broke down, we could be coming to the depths of despair for this token. It's already so cheap. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean, that's the way it's set up. The rest of the market, too, it's setting up in a not so good. Not so good in the micro. You know, we can keep talking about the macro, but if you're not in the market, you're looking for a focused positioning to where you're not entering and you're not down like, I don't know how many people like to enter and they're down 20% in like a day and a half. It doesn't give you good confidence. You know, so we're trying to figure this out from a very detailed point of view, not just the micro and not just the macro, but that. And right now it's just scary. This is a scary point. It's almost worth giving it a few percent before you make some kind of weird decision here and let it just figure it out one way or the other. Because you can always buy it, but if you're on the sidelines, you can't get hurt. You know, you can always buy it if it shows the rallies for real. But if it's not and it ends up breaking down here, you're going to save yourself, even from here, a pretty fair margin, probably 25%, 20%. Joseph Euler, thank you so much for not only being in Tom's Army for over 6 months in the XRP Predictor, but the $20 donation this evening. Holy schmagoles, what a generous offer. And a pay it forward mindset. Says, thanks for all your awesome work, Tom. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. Wow. That's incredibly generous. Garbanzo, thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. So what's up, guys? Just getting off work. We got an ISO and IoT fire sale tomorrow. I mean, it's possible. It is definitely possible. We got a lot of things going on, though, here in the short term. So maybe we will be able to find some volume. There are the rumors that some things happen tomorrow. But, you know, just if you're buying, just be aware of the risk and the reward. If you hold, be aware of the risk of just selling without a plan. You know, and if you're looking for your first entry, just understand this is about the most volatile spot of the pattern you could possibly pick out. So that's just some things I would say. Well, the M2 money supply was out ahead of Bitcoin too, and Bitcoin kind of caught up a little bit, but yeah, it's definitely slowed a bit. That's going to pick up a lot more once we get the easing and the real rate cuts. Mad Eagle, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. Jesse, welcome in and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. Greatly appreciate that. But we're going to find ourselves in a position here where it's going to work in our favor eventually. A lot of these red downs, and if it doesn't break bearish, that's a good sign. XRP's holding $3 like a champ still. The odds may have increased to fall below $3, but we haven't done it yet. You know, we haven't done it yet. But we are falling below this demand zone, and that doesn't feel too good. Because once you fall through here, then all of a sudden you lose a lot of interest. Oh yeah, man, if we don't lose $3, we're golden. I mean, I would argue even if we came down to $2.85, we might be okay. I just don't know what holds us at 285 and not brings us back to that 250 gap at that point. Keep an eye on an outlier like XCN for a strong bounce. It was drawing down ahead of the rest. Double bottom now just breached over lower trend line, which is held so far. Ooh, that's a good. I love outliers. And right now we've held very strong down here. So, you know, maybe this was the better buy from a day and a half ago because it's come down some 10, 15, 20%. Who knows? You never know. We'll see what happens here, but this in the daily time frame looks horrendous. We've only got 45 minutes left in this candle. This needs to pull up. Although, you know, it never broke the daily 200. Never invalidated the structure. Stayed above this neckline if you drew it, well, close. Yeah, I would say it is. So far, I mean, it hasn't broke down. That's a good sign. But it continues to be a very bearish move. I would not be buying this. I'd be afraid to. Even if it reverses, that's why I said I'd rather it prove to me that it's going to pull up. Because, God, if this doesn't pull up, we've already hit this dot cross. This is the rejection. Even from here, that's like 011 whatever. But if we give it the grace and say that's where it started, I mean, that's still a substantial tug. Now, maybe it is a double bottom. But if not, that's a minimum 18%. These could get ugly. So I said I'd rather the audience be liquid than just buying right here. Even though it technically didn't break down and it could be a buying opportunity, it's just you can always buy it if it decides to break up. But then again, you know, no risk, no reward, right? No balls, no glory. So it's an interesting setup for sure. For sure. But yeah, it's basically you're looking at the micro. Can the micro play out, or is the macro going to take control? That is all we're asking right now. We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. We really don't. I don't. I wish I did. But like, even what we talked about earlier with Epic, when I talked earlier, I said I wouldn't be buying it here because we don't know the history. But I'm definitely interested, because just as easily as it could go there, this could bring it down, you know, back under $1. I dare say maybe this 80-cent area might be a good spot. But we'll see if these break down. This is literally at the support that it's put out there for us. But there's no way to really look at this. We're just going to wait for it to retrace way down. This is the one that ripple back. That's trying to be like the bridging for the RWA real world assets between like, there's so many things, institutions, gaming platforms, and all this other crap. But more micro cap. But we're still in such a bad spot here if somebody's really trying to buy their first time. And I only say that because you never want to put somebody in a spot where it could almost guarantee them a 15% loss right off the bat. Jacob Ball, thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor, says, popping in to drop the like. I'm long hold on current investments. If the drop happens, new bag for short. Thoughts? Well, yeah, if it has a drop like that and you already have a long bag, that's what I did with XRP back when I bought it at 34 cents in 22 or 3. When it made the run up and down, I didn't sell it. But then when it dropped to 38, I bought another $5,000 worth. And then I sold it accordingly. Most of it well over $3. So, yeah, I like that approach. Then you can always buy more than you wanted. And then if you come to a sell point, you don't have to sell your bag. You can sell the bag that you created on drops. That's a great idea. Especially if you're in it for the long haul and you don't want tax implications and all that crap. I don't hate that, especially if you have the funds. I don't at all. I don't know though. This doesn't. And thank you for the like, Jacob, as well. See, I don't want to come in here sounding like, oh my god, it's gonna just drop down. But I also can't come in here and say, hey guys, it looks great, when I know it doesn't in the short term. And who knows? Maybe this is the fall of all falls. But yeah, I mean, there's really not much more to say here. I mean, this is my third live of the day. There's not really much more to say here. We have XRP qualifies under the SEC's new standards for cryptocurrency ETPs, potentially gaining ETF approval by October, if it's future trade on designated markets for 6 months. Whatever, more speculation. Doesn't really do us any good. I don't like any of those right there. Firms amend Solana ETF filing as they look to get the SEC's approval. I don't even care about all this. It's all nonsense, most of it. I'm just going to focus on the charts. We're just going to stay focused on the charts and see what, see what we got to, see what's coming forward. We know the micro, we know the macro. Now it's a matter of, does the micro win out or does the macro overtake some of these micro movements? I think a big key will be XDC as well. If XDC just rolls over here, it's probably not a great sign. Because in any kind of good environment, XDC would pump right here. But because of the environment we're in, it very well could drag it down. And that's what I've been talking about for the last 2 days. We're going to know a lot about this market based on if XDC can get out of here or if the entire market drags it down. It'll be like H-bar in a sense, like somebody pointed out the other day. With the Robinhood listing, gets up to almost like 30 cents. And then it just completely starts to implode. To the point of anybody who bought in down like 20%. Oh, you guys are welcome for the content. I'm just glad you guys appreciate it and enjoy it. But my son is outside, so I'm probably going to end this here for a 40-minute live here this evening. We touched what we needed on. And, I only get this moment once for my son. He's special needs. And he'll only be this age one time. And he really wanted me to go outside with him. So I'm going to go outside. I'm going to spend some time with them. Be blessed, everybody. Thank you for the 40 minutes. And go hug your kids.